Government Property here, and I'm here to have a conversation with you today about a video, well, I'm not reacting to, but adding to, or adding some extra context to a video that was made by Angry Cops yesterday. Um, Specifically talking about an article that came out from The Economist, asking, why are there so many veterans? Why are we paying veterans all this disability? And for the most part, I agree with what Angry Cop said. I think he was right on the money. But I'm just a little extra context here because there's a lot of people that don't understand. He touched on it a little bit, but I'll explain this as I go. So why are there so many American veterans? Pure and simple, right? So there's that article in The Economist, talks about veterans, given that you know, why was there, why are there so many? Well, we had that huge recruiting spike right after September 11th. Everyone joined. I mean, recruiters were having a field day. They couldn't throw a boot without hitting 100 people coming in trying to join the Army, Air Force, Marines, Navy to go get a chance to bust a terrorist. And in addition to that, when we got deployed, we were deployed. It wasn't just the active duty. It was the active duty, the reserves, the National Guard, going multiple rotations through Iraq and Afghanistan. Navy, Air Force, everybody. I think something that a lot of people don't realize is 2001 was the start of the global war on terror. Vietnam ended 26 years before that, an entire generation that had not been actively in combat. Now, there is the Gulf War, 4 or 5 days, there's a build-up of 4 or 5 days of actual combat, various miscellaneous special forces operations, looking at Somalia, Mogadishu, the stuff that happened in, where is it at? Former Yugoslavia. I can't remember the name right now. That's how much it means to me. But not the soldiers that lost their life, but the name of the country. I forget what it was. Sarajevo. That's the capital. I can't remember. But yeah, so let's go into just understand the global war on terror. The global war on terror began on September 11th and is still going on to this day in some form or fashion. We still have the Houthis, which are an Iranian-led terrorist or group, Hezbollah, Hamas, various other Al-Qaeda-esque groups that are still running amok. So it's been more than 20 years of active or direct combat in some form or fashion for every branch. But let's consider, the prior wars, because we're talking about veterans' benefits. World War I, America was involved in World War I for all of about 6 months. Wasn't a whole lot. We got in toward the end of it. The war ended in 1919, 18, 19, somewhere in that range. And effectively, that was it. We were in, we were at, very few, some people got, we had people killed and injured because World War I was a ground slog of trench warfare and just hitting everything with artillery because that's what you did. World War II, we were directly active in World War II from Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, until September 2nd, 1945, when Japan surrendered. That was only 3 years and 9 months. Korea started up shortly thereafter, and that was only a 3-year conflict that is still technically ongoing to this day because all they signed was a ceasefire. Vietnam is interesting in that Vietnam started in the 50s with French Indochina, but America's boots on the ground involvement was only 8 years. So you factor in 8 years. So you figure in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the big 4 wars of the 20th century. And that's 15 years and 3 months of conflict, boots on the ground, getting shot at, people getting hurt, people dying, over the course of 61 years. So to the best of my knowledge, there's not a single person living today that fought in World War I. There's very, very few people left alive today who fought in World War II. There's substantially more that fought in Korea, and I can't walk down the street without hitting a Vietnam, well, not hitting, but walking into or bumping into somebody that served in Vietnam. But that was 61 years of massive, multiple deployments, 61 years of people getting deployed, people, World War I, draft, World War II, draft, Korea, draft, Vietnam, draft. September 11th, there wasn't a draft. You couldn't keep people out of those recruiting offices. And what ends up happening is you have a war like no other. World War I, the war to end all wars. World War II, technology advances, airplanes become dominant. Korea War, must fight the bad communists. Vietnam War, must fight the bad communists. And the global war on terror, there was no front line. There was no, this is your enemy. You didn't know who your enemy was. You didn't know where the attacks were going to come from. If you went outside post, you ran the risk of an IED getting you, an RPG getting you, an ambush getting you. And that was just going to and from just a basic supply run in the middle of a desert where there's nothing. Your supply, we were getting, at Fob Spiker where I was, we were getting mortared. Like, we got mortared quite a bit. And then the unit that came in and replaced us got mortared almost every day. Well, I heard that because 101st is the one that replaced us, and that's what they were telling me. So I have to go by word of mouth on this one. But I can tell you that we got mortared quite a bit. And if it wasn't getting mortared, it was all kinds of other bullshit. Dealing with roadside bombs during convoys, dealing with potential ambushes, dealing with just all of it. And so we sit back and they say, why are there so many veterans? You just put an entire generation of American youth, from people who had survived the Gulf War all the way to 25-year-olds, the people I'm working with today that literally joined in 2000, literally joined, 4 or 5 years ago, got sent to Afghanistan, got fired at, got blown up. I'm working with them. And you're going, why do we have so many veterans and getting all these benefits? Because we are still actively engaged in a war on terror that, unfortunately, in my opinion, will never end. And one of the things that, as veterans, that we got when we signed up with the government, signed our names on that dotted line and became government property, hence the name, were disability benefits for physical and mental damages done. And the war on terror, just like, and I'm going to link Angry Cops' video in the description because I like to give full credit where credit is due. Yeah, there's a lot of us that are messed up, physically, mentally, from 20 years of war and multiple rotations through a combat zone. You want to bitch, whine, and moan about the government about government spending? I can tell you that the ammunition that we were chucking down range at these, backwater insurgents that apparently won the war, won their defense in Afghanistan. Thank you, President Biden, and your administration for that terrible pullout. And if you don't understand sarcasm, that's your problem. But yeah, we're chucking millions of dollars. Without going into great details, I'm going to give a guesstimation here. The F-35 is like several $billion to produce. All right, it's a 6th generation stealth vehicle. If you were to take 2 of those, maybe 3 of those, out of the list, you could probably pay for quite a few veterans benefits. I'm just saying. But, we're going to bitch and moan and whine about people. We're going to let people, which of course is their First Amendment right, to bitch, whine, and moan about, veterans getting benefits and veterans being allowed to have some compensation for the fact that their lives will never be the same. Never be the same. Yes, I'm a licensed therapist. Yes, I went to school for 10 years. I still wake up with nightmares. There are things I have seen that I can never unsee. I work with veterans who've experienced the horrors of war, and I can't there are no words to express what war is really like. If you haven't been through it, shut up, because you really have no idea what you're talking about. With that said, I'm Government Property. That is my moniker. I'm William McLemore. I'm a licensed professional counselor, associate currently in the state of Texas. And if you're interested in following me or helping me out with my veterans, help me work with veterans, like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Or you can find me on you can find my practice on Facebook, which is Take a Knee Counseling, and we'll go from there. At the end of the day, I'm here to help. I'm here to advocate for veterans, veteran mental health, and help people understand what the heck we went through. So, I'm here for you guys. Catch you later.